everyone. Good to have you all on board. It's another time with IO, Editor 64, and in today's tutorial, it happens to be the revision class of the course POL316, and basically, we all know how things have been done. We are to make it an interactive one, and today's revision class is going to be a bit different from what we used to know or from what we are already used to. As you can see, as it is already compared to what we used to do before now, where we have a whiteboard and I get to write out questions and we all are expected to provide answers to questions. All right, so I realized that with this, we most times don't cover much ground. So we decided to try this method today and let's see how well we can cover and how much we can cover, how far we can go. And please let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section. If you find this method better, that means we have to be using this method when it comes to our revision classes, and it becomes obtainable then. But if you're not okay with this method, that means our next revision class will sort back to what we are used to. So unlike before now, I think it mandatory that you need to provide answers to every single question. But now it's going to be more like an interaction. So like get to okay, we are talking about political evaluation. What do you understand by it? Alright, it's optional. You can use comment section to give your thoughts about it, and you can as well just listen while I brush you through each of these concepts. So I believe that is well understood. And before we get started into today's class, I want to use the opportunity to inform you that for those of us who haven't gotten the keynote of the course yet, please let's ensure to request the keynote of this course. It's highly essential. The keynote is available, and as against next semester, for those of us who would be interested in becoming a member, for those of us who are interested about taking our education top notch, we want to take advantage, we want to make the best out of the semester, join the private class early. 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks break is fine on the whole academic stress. After 2 weeks, you can begin to show interest in the private class, and we can start early. Even before you register for the semester, it's advised to join the classes early. We get started with things early, and before you know it, we cover a lot together. All right, because we are starting early. So for those of us that want to get the keynotes, for those of us that want to join the private class, is the same route. You go to our official website, tutorio.net. Go to Google, you can Google that. You can use your browser, any one. On our website, you will always find the WhatsApp button. That WhatsApp button is located to the top right hand corner. So once you use that button, you push it directly to our DM. I'll attend to you personally and we can get started with things. So to get started with tonight's class, the very first thing we want to talk about is political evaluation. What do you understand by political evaluation? What is political evaluation all about? Like I said, the very first thing we had this class, I talked about political evaluation from the perspective of two words, combination of two words. So we have to talk about this political evaluation. We need to first dissect each word individually. All right. So we're talking about political evaluation, and we are talking about politics and how it's been evaluated. All right. So when we talk about politics, we are talking about the activities of individuals representing a state and running its affairs. Evaluation has to do with detailed analysis, all right, about a term, a system, or an organization. So bringing these two together now, don't talk about evaluation. One more thing on it is that evaluation is actually systematic. All right, evaluation is systematic in nature. It is a systematic process of finding out, all right, the worth, the significance, all right, the merits of something This something could be a project, all right, could be a policy, could be a program, all right, and you want to use this process of finding out to establish your intended goals. So speaking of political evaluation now, it's also a systematic process. And this process has to do with the acquisition and assessment of information to provide useful feedback. So now what you are assessing now is political activities. And you are doing this assessing in order to make sense out of political activities, in order to make sense out of the term politics itself. And that's why you are doing a political evaluation. It is also seen as the analysis of social activities and behavior relating to political governance. All right, the behavior, the activity that relates to political, all right, governance. So I think we said enough on that. Some of the goals, I think we said that already, been discussing the definition. So some of the goals of this evaluation could be, all right, you are extracting useful information. Actually, it is called, it is said that political evaluation provide what we refer to as useful feedback. Political evaluation provide useful feedback, all right, to a variety of audience. Now, variety of audience here, we are simply talking about everybody doing political analysis or political evaluation. They don't have the same thing in mind, all right? Different reasons for initiating political evaluation. So for any reason why you are conducting a political evaluation, you get useful feedback. And with the help of useful feedback, you can make informed decisions. So now, talking about political evaluation research. Now, we've talked about political evaluation, we're adding research to it. All right? Why adding research to this is because before now, you can do the answer. You can use any method. But now that you're adding research to it, research on its own is scientific in nature. So what we are saying in essence is that political evaluation research is the cumulative process, all right, of evaluating, of finding out the benefit, the worth, all right, the usefulness of a particular concept using scientific measures. Research itself is scientific in nature. And we'll talk about science if you are being systematic, all right, systematically observing certain things about your sample or population. Are we together? So we're talking about investigation, a constant study. We're talking about a constant investigation and inquiry, all right, into political activity. Then we are saying this because now we've added research to political evaluation. So we have that as that. So some of the strategies now, talking about political evaluation research, some of the strategies you use in conducting this research are quantitative strategies. Now, research in this case is, all right, intentional about studying the issues, all right, that motivates people, all right, and interprets people's action as far as politics is concerned. That is qualitative. It deals more with uncountable things. You can't count people's emotion. You can't count people's behavior. So when qualitative research strategies is concerned, you are intentional about finding out how people behave or respond when it comes to political activities. But now, You're not talking about quantitative strategy. You're now being particular and intentional about data. Your data can be quantified. So real quickly, we have types. All right, we have the formative evaluation. Here, one is intentional about the data that are collected. All right, then you project the policy while it's being developed, where you use data to begin to analyze, to begin to make your findings, to begin to formulate. Data is very important here when it comes to formulative evaluation. And we have summative. Here, the design is to provide information on program impacts. All right, what is the impact of the program? You want to be intentional about that under summative evaluation. And we have statistics. This is not new to us at this level. When we talk about statistics, we are simply referring to when you depend on how things are being done now. Statistics now, we are referring to the discipline or science that deals with the collection, classification, the analysis of the use of numerical data. Statistics also has to do with numerical data, but it's not intentional about how you collect and how you use them. And for statistics, we have the types are the descriptive, all right, and inferential. For descriptive now, they are qualitative tools of analysis. For descriptive, quantitative, numerics, quantitative. Inferential, all right, involves information from sample to draw conclusion regarding the population. But for quantitative, we are talking about descriptive. They are quantitative tool of analysis that enable social scientists to describe. So you are making your analysis from the quantity of data at your disposal. But for inferential, you are making use of the sample drawn from the population to make your conclusion. So let's take a step further. There's something called reliability. All right. And when we talk about reliability, all right, according to JOPE, that's JOPPE in 2000, JOPE is of the opinion that reliability as the extent to which results are consistent over time, an accurate representation of the total population of that. Now, reliability. What makes something reliable? What makes your research reliable is the consistency. No matter the method used, your answer is consistent. Your result is consistent. We are talking about the consistency of the result of the research. Then we have reliability. We also have validity. Here, you describe a measure or an indicator instrument that accurately measure the item, the accuracy in measurement. That's validity. All right? Validity can pose serious challenge in political evaluation. This is because political concepts often carry more than one meaning. And that's the problem. All right? So we have that as that. So under validity, we have face validity, we have criterion validity, and we have construct validity. These are the things you get in the material. It's essential to request the material of this course. The keynote is highly essential. So we also have what's called survey. And for survey, it also has to do with research. All right. And we are being intentional here about being systematic. All right. It is the systematic observation and recording of human behavior. When you systematically observe and then you record human behavior in a social system in order for you to develop a social theory. Survey is just about collecting data. You do survey because you are collecting data. You do survey because you need to collect data. You need to extract data. So what are the steps in survey process? First, you must plan the design of your survey. First thing first, you must plan the design of your survey. State your objectives clearly. All right, state your objectives clearly. How do you intend to organize your data? How do you intend to make your data accessible? How do you intend to analyze your data? All of this, you have to get it involved when it comes to survey process. All right. Now we have advantage. Survey is an instrument that is very okay, very, very good when it comes to investigating a problem. And the cost of survey is reasonable. And you can extract large amount of data from the use of survey. So there are some errors in surveys. We have the sampling error. This kind of error arises because it is extremely unlikely that one will end up with a truly representative sample. Definitely human factor. All right. So we have a questionnaire. Questionnaire is almost the same thing with the survey, but survey is just more, it's just a slight difference. When questionnaire is intentional about the question, all right, the questions you are presenting. How do you intend to structure these questions? What do you intend to achieve with these questions that you give to your respondents? The respondents are those people you are giving those questions to fill out for you to respond. Now, it refers to the collection of a form containing a set. So we can refer to survey as a questionnaire as a form. Now, inside this form, you have a set of questions addressed to satisfy a significant audience. So your audience is intentional. You are very intentional about your audience. You don't ask questions the about water pollution in the desert. So your questions must be in line with your research problem, and your research and your respondents must be people you know that yes, they are facing this problem. They have an idea about this problem. They know what this problem is about. So you can easily get such questions from such easily. All right, your respondents. So now let's talk about data. Just a moment. Permit me to get some food. I'm so dehydrated. So now let's talk about data and types of data gathering. Now, after the planning stage of your research, the next step is to consider. The next step up for consideration is data collection stage. And for data, all right, there are a lot of instruments and techniques you can use to gather data. But what is data exactly? What are we talking about? Data are the symbols, numbers, alphabets, characters used to describe one or more attributes such as age, volume, growth, temperature. Don't forget what we did in PST 103. Data are unprocessed information. They are more like height, number, 37, 37 men, 50 women, 37 fair complexity, 37 dark complexity. Those are data. All right, so they are basically numbers, alphabetical characteristics. All right, symbols. All right, used to describe more than one or two attributes. And these attributes could be height, temperature, volume, growth rate, all right, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, in your research work, don't forget we started with political evaluation, then we had research. Now we are now focusing more on the research part of it. So in your research work, there's something very important called the population and sample. Definitely, every research is targeted on targeted at a particular population. So from this population, you now have your sample, which is a small unit or a smaller quantity reduced from the population, because definitely you cannot access everybody in that population. So you need to collect small part of this population, which is called sample, then you focus on those ones. It's as good as focusing on the population as well. So we have that as that. There's something we call variable. All right, variables are things that or something that can change. It's not fixed. It can change from time to time based on things like the gender, definitely things like age. Okay, age change is not fixed. All right, so variables are things that change. All right, there's nothing much of it actually. So there are types of variables, and these are independent, dependent, and controlled variables. So for independent variables, these variables are those kind of variables, all right, that scientists can easily manipulate. Dependent variables, all right, changes as a result of independent variables. Dependent is depending on something. So what is depending on once it's changed, it changes as well. So dependent variable depends on independent variables. So once the independent variable changes, automatically the dependent variables also changes vice versa. Control, all right, control variables are variables that scientists do not want to change. I think our time is fast spent. So let's talk about descriptive statistics. Okay, we talked about descriptive statistics already. All right, and here we have okay some of these stuff we did already in statistics. We have mean, measure of dispersion, mean media mode, all these things discussed in our respective class. Let's just ensure to make use of the keynote to our best of knowledge. All these things are self-explanatory, and from there, get it out. I think we are okay here. We can call it out here for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe you are able to get something of tonight's class, and I believe the exams will be great tomorrow. The examination tomorrow will also positive impact this year. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent classes. I wish all you guys access exams tomorrow. Bye for now.